Hello, welcome back to the channel of nonsense. I've got a bit of a confession to make for all you lovely viewers. I don't actually watch a lot of car YouTube, which is a bit weird considering it's kind of my thing and what I do, but for various reasons, I only really watch one or two car channels, which means the car I'm about to do a review of behind me, I don't really know what people have said about it, other than what I can predict. So we're going to do a bit of Honda Civic Type R FL5 predictive bingo. I reckon people have whinged about the price because it's £47,000, which seems like an awful lot of money for a hot hatch. I reckon they probably whinged about the fact that it's got a similar engine to the previous version, and I reckon they probably whinged about the fact that, I don't know, it doesn't look as leery as the old one, because everyone whinged about that. Now they fixed it, people probably want the leeriness back. But anyway, this is a very, very special car, and I'm going to tell you why about now. Let's be honest, the hot hatch is probably dying on its last legs, kind of thrashing about in its death throes on showroom floors across the world. Just people are stopping making them. We've only really got Honda, Hyundai, maybe Mercedes, Toyota occasionally as well, but the Frenchies are fully pulled out of it. No more fast Renaults or anything like that. So I think it's part of a dying breed, but also, I know I'm massively late to the party with this car. Having lived with this for a week, it genuinely feels like Porsche has made a hot hatch. There's something very, very Stuttgarty about the way this feels. The way it drives, I'm not going to stand here and yap on and show you around the car. I've done a review of the normal new Civic. You can click up there to go and watch that. But otherwise, we're just going to hop straight in and I'm going to get some quick roads. And I'm probably going to yammer on about why it makes my bits tingle. Let's do it.
Now, just before we go for driving the Type R, some quick housekeeping bits. It's only available as a 4-seater in keeping with Type R tradition and to keep weight down for homologation reasons, I think. And there aren't that many options on the options list. You can have the wing in carbon fibre for £3,030 if you really want. There's a carbon fibre centre console for just under 700 quid and some tasteful red interior lighting. Not sure about that. And there's a cargo net pack thing. In terms of colours, grey is the free colour in the UK, then white, red, black or blue are £650. Let's go and drive it.
Right, let's just get stuck into what makes this FL5 Type R feel so special, and it is mostly to do with that front end. It has got so much grip from the front end, and you get loads of confidence to really lean on those Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres. Now, the previous generation of this car, the FK8, I lived with one of those for 6 months, and that had immense amounts of front end grip too, but this has just found even more, and Honda says they've made the chassis 15% stiffer by using adhesives, and the track is 15mm wider, and that basically all combines to make it feel even more like a race car than the previous version, which already felt, to be honest, pretty much like a touring car for the road. Now, the things you touch in this car are all really, really well done. For a start, the steering wheel, it is thin. I've put the indicators on. It is thin. It is covered in Alcantara with little red stitching. It's quite thin, it's quite dainty, it feels very Porsche, and that is just such a lovely way to engage with that front end. Second thing, the seats and the seating position. I commented on the regular Civic the other week that it sits you nice and low. This, well, it's on another level, and these seats are some of the best seats I've ever sat in a car. They're so supportive, they really hug you nicely. I wouldn't want to be much fatter than I am or broader around the love handles, but they are amazing, and everyone that sat in them has complimented them, and they're not super hard to get in and out of. They're not like BMW's carbon back bucket seats, which can get on your nerves after a while. These, oh, they're brilliant. They are brilliant. The next thing that feels special about this car is the engine. I didn't really think I'd be saying that, because although this is Honda's third go at a turbocharged Civic Type R, it feels like they've really, really nailed it. It's called the K20C1, I think, and it's an evolution of what we've had before. It's now up about 7 horsepower to 329 at 6,000 something RPM, but whereas previous turbocharged ones have really delivered slugs of torque in the mid-range, this one does that, but it feels as if the engine oil has been replaced with like a thin single cream, where it was like a clotted, thick, horrible molasses before. basically it revs quicker and it's got a real eagerness, and it feels like Honda's really perfected their turbocharged 2 litre now, and in a way it almost feels naturally aspirated, which I guess has been Honda's objective all this time, given how great they were with, you know, the K-series engines before they went turbo. So yeah, the engine still pulls so strongly in the mid-range, you end up going faster than you meant to everywhere. But it's actually quite addictive to chase the red line now as well. And you've got a lovely set of Christmas tree lights across the top of the dashboard to tell you to change up. Also does a little beep as well. I wasn't expecting the engine to feel that much different, but it really just feels more athletic, more like a shaved down racing cheetah rather than an elephant of the previous one. Still doesn't sound amazing, but it's got a slightly augmented honk that you can turn up and down in the driving modes. And we should talk about the driving modes because, as with the FK8, this car is on adaptive dampers, and it really makes it a more usable everyday proposition. Because of its adaptive dampers, you can put it in comfort mode and it is actually comfortable, and you would want to use it as a family car, as I have been doing. You want to do the shopping in it. You won't really think, oh, don't want to use the Type R, it's too hardcore. You just pop in and go about your business. And there's an individual driving mode as well, so you can have the plus R angry engineness, but with soft suspension, steering and no fake engine noise. You can also adjust the severity of the automatic rev matching. Yes, like in a Porsche, it will blip your shifts for you, but you can turn it off like in a Porsche. You have to go through a few menus, there's no dedicated button. I've just left it on because, as usual in fast cars, it gives you a bit more brain space. Although if you do want to turn it off, the pedals are well set up for heel and towing. It's like treading on a little vole's head and blipping on a little ferret. It's lovely. Yeah, control weights are nice. Now, I don't want to prattle on too long about the way this drives, because you've all got real world things to do. You should probably go and put a load of laundry on, you're running out of pants. But the chassis feels different to the FK8. When that came out, the facelift of the previous generation, I drove it on a track back to back with the one before that, the FK2. Sorry, I'm getting a bit nerdy with my Honda model numbers here, but basically the FK8 felt very serious lockdown and like a touring car, but it wasn't as mobile. It didn't feel like it was a hot hatch. It felt like it was trying to be a racing car. I think some of the hot hatchiness has come back into the Civic with this. When you're gunning it down a country road, it responds well to a little lift of the throttle, and it kind of just jinks about a bit more, like over a capital grid. I think I've taken a wrong turn. This looks like a very rich private estate. But yes, it does move about. The chassis is more mobile. It's not like a Fiesta ST where it's going around every corner on 3 wheels and being a hooligan, but it certainly feels a lot more like you can lift off the throttle in the middle of a corner and it adjusts its line slightly, which I like. That is interactive, that is fun, that is hot hatch Formula 101, and it's back in this, despite the fact it's got an amazing front end. It feels like it wants to play a bit more. But anyway, in short, this car drives brilliantly. Engine is fantastic. The chassis is almost flawless for a hot hatch. And I really am struggling to criticize it. Oh, I'm still shaking from that. Everyone needs to experience an FL5 Type R in Plus R mode on a good road. Is just one of motoring's great experiences. It's alive in your hands, it's thrashing about, it's not torque steering, but it's going with the road. You need to be on your game, frankly. Didn't mention the gear shift either, which is obviously beautiful, one of the best out there, and it's got this beautiful teardrop shaped gear knob with a little tapered collar at the bottom. It's almost phallic. It's really nice to use, really satisfying. But again, you do have to be careful not to miss shift because it's quite a tight box. But as a thing, it is brilliant. Even if your proclivities are more rear-wheel drive, like you like your M3s or something, you kind of owe it to yourself to have a go in one of these, because it's almost the best a hot hatch has ever been without getting into super rare limited edition one-offs like an old R26R. Or something like that. The only real problem with this car is, as I hinted at the start, is its price. It's £47,000, which is very expensive, but so is everything else at the moment. A Volkswagen Golf you can spec up to about 35, and that's not even a fast one. A Kodiaq, a Skoda SUV, 40 grand plus, easily at the moment. So I'm going to cut it a bit of slack for that, and also if you watch my normal Civic review, you'll know that the interior is leagues ahead of where the Civic used to be in the previous generation. I guess the biggest enemy for this car is a previous Type R, and I've come from a very Type R sort of family. When I was 18, I was in sixth form, my dad was having his midlife crisis. He'd never owned interesting cars. He'd had motorbikes, but not interesting cars. He bought an EP3 Type R when that was current in about 2003. And suddenly I was a hero at school. My dad had this cool car. I went out in it and it revved to what felt like forever, and it felt like a Formula 1 car. It was the first ever really fast car I went in. And ever since then, Type Rs have kind of been under my skin. As I said, I've previously run an FK2 and an FK8 Type R for 6 months each, so I've done the whole turbocharged Type R thing, and they've just got better and better and better, frankly. I brought my daughter home from hospital when she was born in the back of an FK8 Type R. I wouldn't do that in an EP3 because she'd probably be dead by the time I got home from being shaken about. But in this, put it in comfort mode and it's as comfortable as anything. So yeah, they are really, really good. And I'd kind of argue that Honda's Type R lineage is not flawless, but it's one of the best lineages of hot, fast cars out there. They haven't really made too many missteps in their history. And this kind of feels like the pinnacle. I don't know where they go from here. It's going to be hybrid. It's going to be very different feeling. So if you want one of the last great, purely petrol hot hatches, find £47,000. It's a bit of an ask. Yeah. Anyway, just before we go, one last key flaw with this car, and it's been the same in most Type Rs. I know I've just prattled on about the lineage, but listen to this. They have the weediest hooters in the world. Apparently that's modelled on Soichiro Honda's post-ramen farts. I think he's rolling in his grave. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this slightly different to usual video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed making it. And I'll see you next time for some more car-related nerdy nonsense. Bye.